I used to feel so much shame that my mother had a drinking problem. For years, I felt like it was a secret, something I worked very hard to keep a secret because I felt that the problem was unique to our family. I thought her alcoholism was somehow a reflection on me. I thought if I was just a better daughter, if I did a better job of helping her feel complete, that she wouldn't want to drink anymore. I didn't understand the science of addiction at all. I didn't understand that she was completely physically and emotionally dependent on alcohol. So I thought every day she was making a simple decision, like what to eat or what to wear that day. I thought it was a simple everyday decision to drink or not to drink. I felt then, as the eldest daughter, it was my job, my responsibility, my duty to help fix her, to convince her to get help for her drinking, to get her to stop. Everything revolved around that. I always felt it was a very temporary situation. I felt like we were one step away from the solution of mom not drinking anymore. I wanted very much for it to keep being a secret. I worked very hard. I didn't want people to know that she drank too much. I didn't want her to be judged. I didn't want people to look down on her. So we just kept keeping this a secret. There was then a shift where I eventually got educated about addiction. I realized, and it was very mind-blowing, that addiction is extremely common and that it doesn't discriminate, that it affects millions and millions of families here in the United States and all around the world. That was a very, very bittersweet discovery for me because on the one hand, I felt relieved that the problem wasn't unique to my family, that there were other people like me, that I wasn't alone. But I was also very sad to discover that so many other people like me knew what it felt like to have a parent who struggled with addiction, who was constantly drinking and causing chaos, and all of the pain and suffering that goes along with that. The positive of that education was that I no longer felt ashamed. There was nothing to be ashamed about because the addiction had nothing to do with me. It wasn't my job to try to fix mom because I couldn't control it. Addiction cannot be controlled. The person who's suffering from it has to accept help and take the steps on their own. They themselves have to want it. When recognizing that my mother and her alcoholism was totally separate from me, I was then free to just focus on my own healing. That is when the shift occurred where I no longer felt ashamed. I realized that I am my own person. My mother is her own distinct person. That separation between us is what gave me the freedom to finally take steps to heal. It was all tied to my education, my reading of books, going to Al-Anon and ACA support group meetings, going to therapy, and all the other steps that I took for healing. I have these steps listed in my free guide that's linked in the description below. Grab it to start your own healing journey. If you grew up with an alcoholic parent or in some other type of similar dysfunction, please hear this. Your parents' drinking is not your fault. Their life choices are not a reflection of your worth. Letting go of that shame gives you the freedom to heal and create a life you love. If this resonates with you, please grab that free healing guide that's linked in this video's description. It includes the exact steps that I took to start my own healing journey and create a life I love. You deserve a life you love too. And it starts with watching my next video on healing for adult children of alcoholics. I am so rooting for you.